Hi, everyone. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining me here today. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Susan Lopresti, and I am a holistic health coach, Reiki, and meditation practitioner. And I'm so excited to discuss the power of affirmations with you today. Affirmations are all about being aware of your emotions. So take a moment right now just to settle in and relax and check in with yourself and determine how are you feeling at this very moment. Just take a moment. Focus on your breath. Close your eyes. Relax and check in with yourself. How are you feeling? Are you calm? Are you peaceful? Are you stressed? Anxious? What is it? So, affirmations are all about being aware of your emotions. An affirmation is a positive statement used to challenge a negative or unwanted thought. So, I just asked you to check in with your emotions. If it was some kind of a negative emotion that you described to yourself, you want to challenge that and change that unwanted thought into an affirmative thought. So, affirmation as a word in and of itself refers to the act of saying or showing that something is true. For example, they nodded their heads in affirmation. So they all agreed, right, that it was true, and they nodded in agreement. And that's affirmation. Self-affirmation, which is what I want to discuss with you today, takes that a step further. The official definition from Merriam-Webster says the act of affirming one's own worthiness and value as an individual for beneficial effect, such as increasing one's confidence or raising self-esteem. Based on these definitions, do you feel that self-affirmation would benefit you? And how would you currently rate your self-esteem at the moment? Especially if you don't already practice affirmations. Think about it for a moment. What is your self-talk? When you think about that for a moment, you may decide that you need to be kinder to yourself. In general, we're pretty harsh on ourselves. Many of us are more critical of ourselves than we are of anybody else. Even people that we really dislike, we're still more critical about ourselves than we are about them. So why is that? It's because we've created negative core beliefs throughout our lives. These core beliefs are based on personal experiences and the lessons that we take away from them. These beliefs can also come from observing others. So, for example, if you had a parent who was highly self-critical, you're more likely to be that way as well, whether you like that behavior or you didn't, unless you really worked on yourself to say, I want to make those changes. These patterns of negative thinking develop early and become paths that our brain turns to when it needs an answer. Like if something bad happened at work, let's say, you're trying to figure out what went wrong, and your brain will begin running these old patterns and beliefs that say things like you're not smart enough, you're not good enough, why would anyone pay attention to you or find you credible? The good news is that you can change those patterns, and it just takes a little bit of practice, and really that's all it does. Our brains are built to create information that is based on personal interpretations of patterns and assumptions. When we don't have all the information about something, we fill the blanks based on the information that we already have. Usually this comes from what others have told us about ourselves or how we interpret others' perceptions of ourselves. So if you had someone in your life who bullied you or abused you or told you that you weren't enough, those negative thoughts tend to stick with us. That's the issue with assumptions. They're not always accurate, but they can get saved in our subconscious anyway. And thoughts do affect us, and negative thoughts really affect us. And so we want to look at that. Negative thoughts and attitudes and feelings create chronic stress in the body, which can have some serious consequences. You can have imbalances in your hormones from stress, chemicals in your brain, a damaged immune system, right? These are all effects of chronic stress, what it has on your body. And this is why affirmations work, because something called self-affirmation theory. This theory begins with the premise that people are motivated to maintain the integrity of self. Therefore, people will reflect on strengths and values when faced with challenges or the need to overcome a barrier. In other words, affirmations help to protect the ego, and people seek new favorable knowledge about themselves, as well as ways to revise pre-existing but unfavorable views of themselves. So to seek self-affirmation, someone might post a picture to social media that will garner a lot of attention and seek direct reassurance from someone in their lives, or use something like positive affirmation to provide that information directly to themselves. And I just want to put a little bit of a personal touch on this topic and share my own experience with affirmations. I'm going to guess that the year was probably 2007. I could probably be off by a year or two, but it really doesn't matter that much. I was in a terrible place in my personal life at that point, and I didn't see any way out at that time, or in the near future for that matter. Because of logistics and finances, I really felt trapped and locked into a position. And one day on my walk to the train, which I did 5 days a week, every single week for 27 years, this one particular morning, I'm walking to work and I began saying these affirmations off the top of my head. I didn't say to myself, let me come up with a few affirmations. That's not how it happened. Basically, they just popped into my brain as I was walking to the train station, and I began repeating them out of nowhere. And I started to say, I am a good person and I deserve love. I am a good person and I deserve happiness. I am a good person and I deserve abundance. I am a good person and I deserve success. And they just started to blossom from there. But pretty much those were my go-to ones that I said on a daily basis. And I didn't like allot a time of day or whatever. I just repeated them whenever they just popped into my head. I would say them over and over and over again. Did my life change immediately? Hell no, it didn't. But it did change a little bit at a time, and it changed very organically and exactly how it was all meant to be. And I just allowed it to flow, and I just trusted in the ride. And I'm not even close to being where I truly want to be, but I am sure that I'm headed in the right direction, and I am exactly where I'm supposed to be at this very moment. So some may believe and others may not. And I'm not here to make a believer out of you with affirmations. I always believe, like, do you, whatever works for you. But I'm going to share a little bit about neuroscience and the relationship with affirmation. So the development of self-affirmation theory has led to neuroscientific research, obviously, right? They research everything, these scientists, about how the brain is affected when we self-affirm in positive ways. And there were MRI scans show that when people practice self-affirmations, certain neural pathways are increased in the self-related information processing part of the brain. This means that those who practice self-affirmation are able to effectively change the way we process information about ourselves. And think about this: happy thoughts, happy life, right? Positive affirmations help us to respond in less defensive and resistant way when we're presented with threats. And this is because by developing a better sense of self, we basically boost our self-esteem and feel more capable of handling difficulties when they arise. And I also want to talk about affirmations versus positive mantras. Some of you may have heard of mantras, which are similar to affirmations, but they're also different. And I'd like to take a moment now to make that distinction between the two. Technically, mantras are sacred words, sounds, or verses that carry a more spiritual meaning than affirmations. In contrast, affirmations are described by Psychology Dictionary as brief phrases repeated frequently, which are designed to encourage positive, happy feelings, thoughts, and attitudes. So as you can see, there's like a difference, but I believe that whatever works for you is what's right for you. And so if you tend to feel more spiritual, then try some mantras or mix and match and see what works for you. You can also use affirmations for anxiety and depression. Positive affirmations are not designed to be cures for mental diagnosis, nor are they a substitute for clinical treatment. I am not saying that at all. However, they can be a beneficial tool in conjunction with therapy and mental diagnosis and treatment of whatever it is that you're struggling with. So if you struggle with anxiety and or depression, it's likely that you have a negative view of yourself. So affirmations can be a great thing to incorporate into your wellness routine in addition to therapy and other healing modalities that will help with depression and anxiety. There are no rules. I know that I covered a lot of information, and I want to take a moment to remind you that affirmations aren't supposed to be complicated, stressful, or a chore. There are no rules for practicing affirmations in terms of how often you practice them, the length of the phrases that you're saying, or what you say, but there are a few guidelines. So let's take a closer look. Your first step is to increase awareness of your current thoughts as you go through your day. And think about your thoughts. Are you being mean to yourself without even realizing it? So if you don't realize what your thoughts are, you may want to look in the mirror. And some people will look in the mirror and say, yuck, but then continue on through their day. And then we eat a donut and think, shame on you. And then we don't think twice about that either. So when we allow ourselves to get away with thinking these thoughts, we set a precedence for our own behavior by increasing your awareness. And, so before you reach for that donut, get self-aware. What is it that I'm doing at this moment, right? By increasing your awareness of when and how you speak to yourself or think to yourself, you'll be able to correct your thoughts and begin reforming patterns of understanding. We need to be able to pinpoint those negative thoughts and becoming aware of the negative thoughts will help you in your fight to reverse them. However, these thoughts can be hard to catch because we've become so accustomed to allowing them into our psyche, right? We say them all the time. Oh, Susan, you're so stupid. I can't believe you did that. You know, just negative, negative, always negative. If you like, start by looking in the mirror and paying attention to where your mind goes when you're looking at your face. Are your thoughts negative or positive? Not only should you pay attention to your mind, but pay attention to the feelings in your body. How do you feel when you look at a picture of yourself? Are you focused on a specific body part or a specific wrinkle or flaw in your face? If so, ask yourself where those thoughts came from. I know as women, we are sometimes fixated on our looks as we're aging, right? Do you have any triggers? Consider situations that trigger negative feelings, like what I just described. When you look at yourself in the mirror, are you affected by the fact that you look older? Or, for example, putting on a swimsuit, that could really trigger a lot of people. Or speaking in front of a group, you know, that could also have a trigger. What about approaching people to make new friends or to reach out for networking purposes? What kind of a trigger does that hold over you? These triggers create a whoosh, like a massive negative amount of self-talk and emotions, like they'll never want to speak to me. What do I have to offer to them? I'm so bad at speaking in front of people. Who's going to want to listen to me? Why should I waste their time? Take a moment to consider what triggers your negative thoughts are doing. It's likely that someone else has the same triggers as you do, but just don't realize it yet. So you want to create affirmations based on values. If the words that you speak don't have any personal meaning to you, they probably won't work. That's why it's important to create affirmations that are based on your own values and your own beliefs. And I believe you also need to hear the words that you may have been waiting for someone else to say to you, but they never did. And that's why I chose the ones that I chose back then, because I didn't realize how good of a person I was until other people mentioned that to me. When I said that I was going through this difficult time in my life, they would say, Susan, you're such a wonderful person. You don't deserve to be treated like that or to be unhappy like that. And when I started to pay attention to what other people were telling me, that one particular morning, I started saying these affirmations out of the blue. I am a good person. I do deserve love. I am a good person. I do deserve happiness. I didn't feel like I was loved. I know I wasn't happy. I wasn't successful. I wasn't anything. I was basically existing. And I believe that these messages were downloaded to me because they were the messages that I so desperately needed to hear, and no one that I knew or loved was really saying that to me. And it must be true because I choked on those words. And so those were the words that I desperately needed to hear. So I can't tell you what your affirmations should be. You have to figure that out on your own. You have to create the affirmations based on your own personal experience. For example, if you're not a spiritual person, don't choose spiritual mantras. as an affirmation because they're just not going to resonate with you. And so you won't see results with that. A good rule of thumb for creating affirmations is to begin your sentence with the phrase, I am. And some other guidelines is to keep it in the present tense, because if you say, I will be abundant, the universe knows that you're not abundant now, and it will keep putting off because you're saying, I will. So it will automatically be putting off that goal. You need to say, I am abundant. I am successful. I am achieving my goals, whatever they are. And you need to be very specific as possible. You really do. Narrow it down. Be brief, and also keep this in mind. The subconscious cannot differentiate between negative and positive. So if you want to be successful, and that's your affirmation, don't use an affirmation like, I don't want to be a failure. The subconscious will dwell on the word failure and skip out on the intention behind it. So be careful in how you word your affirmations. You want them in the present tense, and you want them positive. I am abundant. I am successful. I am happy. I am thriving. I am healthy. I am loved. I am honored. Whatever. And if you can't think of your own, search online. There's so many opportunities to get information, and you're all savvy like that, and I know that you will. I totally suggest that you come up with your own to meet you personally, to where you're at and where you want to be. And we repeat affirmations so that they can sink deeper into the subconscious mind. Whether you take 5 minutes to repeat your affirmations each morning or sprinkle them throughout your day, repetition is important, and it's an important part of helping your brain to soak up the information that you're trying to give it. And you want to incorporate more affirmations into your daily life. Spend more time focusing on your affirmations by integrating them into your meditation practice. And this is a great way to intentionally spend time thinking about your affirmations and training your mind to take them seriously by staying mindful in that moment on what your goal is and what you want to obtain. If you don't meditate, try repeating them in your head when you go for a walk, or you practice yoga, or go for a run, or go swimming, maybe cleaning your house, engaging in any kind of light physical activity. Just be repeating these affirmations in your head. Get creative and use affirmations for screensavers. You may want to post them where you work. You may want to put them on the refrigerator. I'm 20 pounds lighter, or, whatever you want to say. Begin your day with a boost of positivity. If you're finding it difficult to remember to practice your affirmations, consider incorporating them into your morning routine. So like when you're making coffee in the morning, or when you're driving to work, or brushing your teeth, getting ready, whenever you have a moment of quiet, get out of the busyness of your mind and just focus on some affirmations. And everyone is different. So what time of day may work best for you may be totally different from someone else, a friend of yours. And I really am going to encourage you to start coming up with your own personal affirmations for all that you want to create for yourself, and to find peace also with where you're at today. It may not be where you want to be, but it's where you're at, like it or not. But if you could find peace with it, because I don't know if you've ever heard this saying, but what you resist persists. So find peace with where you're at and continue to practice your affirmations on where you want to be. So I want to thank you very much for joining me here today. I hope this was helpful to you and that you're going to incorporate this alternative healing modality, because that's the way I see it. It's another way of helping to relieve chronic stress and lower levels of inflammation and just be more in balance. And when you're in balance, you're giving your body the opportunity to heal. So if you've been enjoying my presentations, please let your friends know about me and where they can find me. I have a website that you could learn a lot more about me, and that's at www.susanlopresti.com. I also wanted to let you know that I am running 2 private coaching programs beginning April 1st. I have a 4-week program for anyone who just needs like a little push or a kickstart on their health goal. And we'll work together for 4 weeks. And after the 4 weeks is up, then you would be truly on your own. But you would definitely have some tools in place to get you to where you need to be. And then I have another private health coaching program that begins also April 1st. And this program is going to run for 12 weeks. And this program is for those who want to be sure that they're going to achieve success and reach the goals that they set out to reach with the help of a professional health coach. At this time, you will have my full, undivided attention as we set goals, create intentions, adjust our diet, incorporate movement, meditation, and other healing modalities that you're open to receiving to achieve the results to better health and wellness that is all yours. So if this sounds like something that you would be interested in, I'm going to put the links in the show notes and you could register from there. Again, thank you so much for joining me here today. I really hope that I was able to add value to your day and that you feel like this was useful and you're going to incorporate it into your wellness journey. Thank you again. Have a beautiful rest of your day. Take good care.